Okay, seems we have another Bible contradiction. The atheist is informing us the Bible is contradictory about whether or not Christians know how to pray. Let's see what this is. Matthew chapter 6, verses 9 through 13, he says, is that Christians do know how to pray, whereas Romans chapter 8, verse 26 says that they don't. So is this a contradiction? Well, two things to always remember whenever the accusation of a Bible contradiction comes up. First, to look up the verses that they say are in contradiction with each other, and second, know what a contradiction is. A contradiction would be a violation of the second formal law of logic. A does not equal non-A. Speaking in English, that just means that two things in the same way and in the same sense can't both be true and at the same time cancel each other out. So the accusation is Christians do know how to pray, and Christians don't know how to pray are both being stated here. So let's read it. This is supposed to prove that Christians do know how to pray. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 9, Jesus speaking said, "In this manner, therefore pray, our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven," so on and so forth, the Lord's Prayer. Whereas in Romans chapter 8 and verse 26, Paul speaking says, "Likewise the Spirit also helps in our weaknesses, for we do not know what we should pray for as we ought. But the Spirit himself makes intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. Now he who searches the hearts knows what the mind of the Spirit is, because he makes intercession for the saints according to the will of God." So for the atheist to bring this up as a contradiction, I assume they never read Romans chapter 8 and noted that in the passage, the phrase, "we do not know how to pray," full stop, then that means that it's a cancellation of Matthew. But even then that doesn't work, because in Matthew chapter 6, Jesus instructs his disciples. I'm sure they're Sunday school teachers and told these atheists what that prayer meant, but they didn't listen either. When it ultimately came down to it, we see in the Gospel of Luke that Jesus had to repeat this teaching to them on several occasions. So that doesn't necessarily prove Christians know how to pray. It just means they have access to the proper prayer. What they do with it is different, much like what atheists do with the Bible. The second issue is Romans chapter 8 doesn't say that Christians don't know how to pray full stop. It says we don't know how to pray as we ought. Fortunately, God himself is also praying for us. The Spirit intercedes with us in a way that he knows what the heart of God is. He prays for us perfectly. Even when we pray, it is imperfectly. So there's no cancellation of ideas, just a misrepresentation of one or both. You have to insist that because Jesus taught his disciples how to pray, therefore that means they learned the lesson, despite later passages showing they didn't get it, and also noting in the same passage that they use in conflict with it, it gives a qualifier, pray as we ought, and then goes on to say, but prayers still are successful because God picks up the slack himself. So this wouldn't be a contradiction. This would be either a failure to read, a failure to represent the passages properly, or just outright deception. But what else is new?